Welcome everybody to the Synapse Philosophy Group. This is chiropractic philosophy for everyone, for the seasoned chiropractor to the layperson, the person that might be curious about chiropractic and has questions, because we answer a lot on here and we go into chiropractic philosophy as it's meant to be. And I believe the world is ready for it. This isn't a secret we should be keeping as chiropractors. And many of us teach these principles in our offices and so on. So if you're a lay person or a person that's not a chiropractor or chiropractic student, more power to you. Share this with your friends too. And we got Dr. Hobbs and Dr. Lichter on here, and it's the third day of Hanukkah. And we want to say happy Hanukkah to everyone. Merry Christmas is coming up soon. And we are on page 4 of the Chiropractor, D.D. Palmer's 1914 book. Extremely important and powerful, okay? We left off on man is a dual entity. And I think we're going to start there again and reread it because it's such an important paragraph and it's only 3 lines long. And, I always feel if a paragraph's 3 lines, it must have some pretty important meat into it. You guys have anything to say or anything before we start?
I just think that since we know this is going out for posterity, we should identify once in a while, this is the year 2022.
Yeah, we're exactly right.
Whenever you're seeing this in the future, we're happy we were able to contribute to you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Alan. Absolutely. And I just got our stats. 8,000, almost 9,000 minutes listened to or watched on this podcast. And I think that's really incredible for this 1 year. And that's chiropractic philosophy, and it's amazing. I feel honored and blessed. So I'm going to read this. Man is a dual entity. This is page 4. Man is a dual entity composed of intelligence and matter, spirit and material, the immortal and the mortal, the everlasting and the transient. Hope we had someone coming in. The manifestation of such an existence is intelligent action. That's meant to be read slow in my mind, okay? All right, anybody have anything on that, or should we just move forward?
Nobody ever said your mind was slow, Haig.
No, they tell me to slow down sometimes. My kids came with me. They're getting off half days today, the rest of this week. And I brought my kids to the office today and we had a blast, but we talked about philosophy and, they're 6 and 8 and it's not too early to learn that we have a beautiful intelligence inside of us running the show called our innate intelligence. That's our spiritual intelligence within. And it's these things. It's the material body. And, the spirit, it takes the spirit to animate the material. And the material is nothing until it has the spirit. And the spirit needs the material to express itself in this plane of existence that we're currently conscious of. So I think this one right here sort of just sums up our philosophy, that we're not just a meat bag. We're not just random, experiences all of a sudden created into life, that we're composed of spirit and material, and we have to honor that. And I think that's that paragraph right there, which is really 2 sentences, is kind of sums up chiropractic philosophy in a way, because we have to work through the material portion of us, because we're actually working with the spiritual portion of each individual. And that's what chiropractic is really based on, not your back pain or your neck pain. And that's wonderful when that goes away. I mean, I'm happy for it. But ultimately, it's nurturing the spirit within each individual. That's the way I truly like to look at it. You're like a farmer nurturing the fields, right? And so you can grow productive, wonderful crops. So spirit can manifest in the most beautiful way in this plane of existence. That's my 11 cents. So,
and it's interesting that the way it's laid out is very careful, because it's intelligence, spirit, immortal, everlasting, and matter, material, mortal, and transient. And we also talk about the fact that the intelligence is part of, is always working towards progression. The material is what progresses over time, but the material that of our momentary existence is transient. There's an overarching progression that's being made here, but our existence is the transient part of the process.
And what he's
go ahead, Barry.
No, and I was going to say what he's recognizing here is that then we will become the immaterial, and the immaterial will become then the material again. These two sentences like literally are the trophy of our philosophy, and him being a scientist and looking at these body parts with these other practitioners at the time, the osteopaths, the energy workers. What is this piece of tissue? Why is this one well and this one over here sick? What is inside of there? And what he found was that energy, that spirit through the innate intelligence system. And what was said there could literally be a poster in our offices.
Yeah. I really think, you know what, just saying that, I might put that up in my office. I absolutely love that.
And if you think about it, we as humans at some point, right? Not as children in a way, we all want to find out our why. What makes us tick? What's out there? Where did I come from? And he's very simple here, yet it's extremely deep and mind-blowing. And quite frankly, he looked at himself as a gift that, hey, I am the human that this thought came to me, and I am incorporating the physical and the spiritual world. And it applies to all religions, all human beings on this planet. No matter what color, race, creed, sex, religion, every human being on this marble piece of earth.
Amen. And you know what? And BJ followed along with that. And just as we read in, volume 39, I was trying to measure innate intelligence. I'm trying to measure the spiritual part. We can measure the earthly material things till the cows come home. The hard part is measuring that spiritual part and putting it into scientific data. The technology, nothing was available to DD at this time. BJ had to build it all. He had to think through it and find what's the cutting edge technology at the time to try and measure that intelligence. It didn't die with DD. It was continued on with BJ through our philosophy, all the way up, all through our philosophy. And or not just our philosophy, our history and our science. Let's put it in that sense. So that's, we're covering the triune the best that we can. And I think that's an important factor too. Steve Shargell, good to see your face.
Yeah, man, I'm wondering about when we talk about animating the flesh and sickness. I'm wondering if we actually, with all of our now, much more than what BJ had, I sense that we don't really have an idea of what sickness is. We don't belong there. That we don't know enough to say that health means the end of that rash, the end of that cough, the end of that fever. We don't go there. I know BJ got into it a little bit and, blood tests, but where I'm coming from is even beyond maybe back then is that what is it to be healthy? And I think what it means to be healthy is to be whole. And what it is to be whole, because this body it got born, the collagen kind of dwindles and the bones you get a little shorter and then you die, but you can die healthy. What is that definition of health? I think it has to do with the expression. I don't know, but I have from in my life, health is tied in with a certain feeling or connection. What do you guys think? I mean,
you said it. You said it, Stephen. Steve, you said it. It's expression. That's health. It's expression through matter. You said it.
So what about if I'm coughing? Is that an expression through matter?
Absolutely.
That's up to innate.
That's right.
Ultimately, right? DD was
that's
looking
it.
for what caused a man to be sick, but what eventually happened was he found the cause of health. Let's go after what causes a man to be healthy, not what causes a man to be sick. That's the study of effects, osteopathy, all the others. Let them do that. That's the distinction. And you got it. What you were saying about BJ, in a way, was true. He was trying to study scientifically the effects, but the effects of a subluxation on the innate system.
I'm going to go
And I
back.
think going to the dis-ease, well, we really look at what Dee was really trying to explain with, it's not sickness, it's just the lack of ease in the system.
Yes.
Right. And I think that gives a more encompassing understanding of sickness. We want to use that sick word, but really dis-ease, the lack of ease in the system. Go ahead, Alan.
I said I was going to go back to the quote we were looking at here, and because I think we want to also be careful, although as chiropractors, we primarily dealing with human beings, what he talks about here just is not limited to humans. It's as innate, all living things express intelligence through matter.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And it's bigger than just what putting hands on people in our offices, because it goes back to other cultures which said there's spirit in everything and acknowledge that there was spirit in everything. And that's something we've lost in our society lately. So just to expand our thought process a little bit here.
Well, that's, the chiropractic meaning of life. The expression of intelligence through matter is the chiropractic meaning of life.
Which is exactly what Dee said in this paragraph.
But a tree can't subluxate.
Doesn't matter. That's not our issue.
No.
We're not. The paragraph talks about the intelligence in matter, and there is intelligence in a tree. It adapts to its environment.
And Alan was talking about expression of living things. Dee did adjust animals too. He did hand out the first animal chiropractic. And for those people who are just tuning in here, you're really jumping into some deep essence here. And what we're saying to the general public is that there is an expression of life through the body, and it's through the nervous system. And we're diving deep into the why. And as you could see, we're all seasoned chiropractors here. And even we are having some challenges of, well, what about this? What about that? Because we are born into the mold of sickness and medicine on this planet. We're born into it. There's a medicine cabinet. There's a pill, potion, a lotion. And what Dee found at the turn of the century through years of work, this isn't just, boom, he wrote a book and here we are talking about it. This is years of work, is that, hey, there's something there. There's a vibrancy. How do we express health? Leave that power and the effects up to that. We can't make any promises. Let's remove the interference and let innate do what she is going to do.
Now, this is the thing. What we just read has nothing to do specifically with chiropractic. This is philosophy of beings.
Okay, but now let's say, can you guys agree that someone who has cancer can be healthy?
They can be expressing everything that their body can express at that time.
Can somebody be healthy and die? I think so.
Why
So
not?
Steve, this is really what definition of health? Like true health to me is being 100% spirit. When I cross into spirit, I want people to celebrate and be happy, because I feel that I'm going to be 100% spirit in traveling this entire universe. That is a big question. What is the definition?
I don't know. I don't know about when I die. That's jumping.
Okay. That's different. So what is your definition of what is health? Is it to get rid of pain? Is it to have no symptoms? Is it to have your chiropractor say your legs are level? Is it to have your chiropractor say your scan is clear? Whose definition?
I think it has to do with inner fulfillment. I think it has to do with inner connection with something that is ease, like Haig said, living with this ease. We're not struggle, fighting, resisting. There's an ease, not that we're placid, not that we're just passive, but there's an ease. I don't know, man. For me, it is spiritual connection. That's why I got into chiropractic, is because of the spiritual connection. So that to me is beyond even health, is beyond even how we limit it.
I think, in the passing, are we at peace is different than being in health, right? Is there peace within this system? Or am I at peace with my own illness if I'm ill? Am I at peace with my own livingness?
So is peace and health, what are they different?
I don't know.
It's a good question.
I'm gonna jump in here and say, I think we've gotten away from our core for tonight.
Yeah, I think we did too. But I think we got some good things. Thanks for getting us back on track. I'm going to read the next paragraph. I might read a couple of lines and stop, actually, okay? Chiropractors, especially, are aiding in this great advancement by adjusting the osseous structure, the position of which has to do with the determining normal and abnormal tension. For in whatever part function is abnormally performed, tonicity is either lacking or excessive. Creative intelligence is prevented from expressing itself normally. I'm going to stop. Okay.
Creative intelligence.
So
that goes to the advancement that goes on over time, and that creative advancement is interfered with by the change in tonicity of where the transmission is interfered with within the material.
So Pasquale used to say to us, the spirit, in the spirit realm, they need us as much as we need them. And when this says, in this great advancement by adjusting the osseous structure, and what's advancing? The material body, does it advance? Or is he really talking about spirit? The advancement through this adjustment.
Well, he tells you in the two paragraphs before that first paragraph we read,
and the last line I read.
But it says the life is the direct result of this intelligence and seeking advancement toward perfection by use of the visible corporeal organisms.
Well, wouldn't that be body and mind and
well,
spirit?
that's what the paragraph we started with was before you got online, was about man as a dual entity.
Now, creative intelligence is prevented from expressing itself normally with this osseous intrusion or abnormal tension he's talking about, right? He's calling it a subluxation. He's beating around the bush in a way, right? He doesn't say subluxation. Is that what he means? Would anybody agree with that? Barry, did you get the book?
In the next sentence, he talks about vertebral displacement, but doesn't say subluxation. So,
okay, yep. That's why I posed the question, really, right? But the creative intelligence is prevented from expressing itself normally. That's if we're inhibited somewhere in the system. Now, creative intelligence, is that spirit? Is it innate or is it educated?
And how do you determine normal?
Creative intelligence is innate.
Expressing itself normally.
Yeah.
How do you determine normal?
Not for you to determine. You can't know.
Well, he brings up the word.
He knows you can recognize abnormal, but you don't know what normal is.
Let the creative intelligence dictate normal. Let the creative intelligence dictate normal. Yeah. So what's interesting is that he's talking about the connections and what we're trying to achieve. There's something in our history that's real important, and it symbolized this for decades. I have several of them in my office. The Chiropractic Angel. And medicine has the Caudacious with the staff and the two serpents. We have the Chiropractic Angel with the wings. What is the banner above the angel's head? What does it say, guys? What does it say, listeners?
Health.
Exactly. It's above us. Is it truly achievable? And if you notice the banner is not fully connected on the other wing of the angel, because we're always trying to achieve it. We're always trying to achieve it physically, and we're always trying to achieve it spiritually.
You know, BJ talks about
And
listening
it's
to
above
that
the
something.
imperial angel. Sorry.
BJ talks about being able to know things, get out, stop the carriage here, and you know, that synchronicity. I think that he points at that we are potentially able to know a lot more than what we consider nowadays normal. And I think we are advancing, maybe slowly as a human race, but we're becoming more normal, healthy. Isn't like you say, it's not like we're always reaching. There's always more.
Now, I was just going to mention this, as you said it, Stephen, as a race of beings, not color race, but as human beings, not everybody's going to advance. Not everyone is advancing. Not every chiropractor is advancing. I believe that personally, it's not everybody is. And not everybody's coming to your office for advancement, but they have to know about it. Do they have to know this philosophy to see spiritual change in their lives or advancement?
No, they don't need to know about it. I don't have to put it into words. I just have to be it myself.
I think that to limit people to say they're not advancing is I think that everybody's on whatever path that they're on.
I agree.
And everybody's advancing on some level. They may not, where am I on that level? Where are you on that level? Where's Zuckerberg on that level? Where's Trump on that level? Where's Biden? Where's whoever you want to think about? What level are they? What level am I? Where's the guy that's, homeless on the street? And who's to say he's not above me in some level? We may all be on different levels within in different areas of our lives. So that what's to say that everybody can level up. I'll stop.
I
Part
agree.
of what we were saying was really is the material. I'm talking about in the spiritual advancement. I mean, the guy laying on the street, the Buddha. I mean, if we've ever read Siddhartha or any of those stories, going through those levels of, from poverty and to experience life at different levels for spiritual advancement, I think is actually very important. But yeah, okay.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I just turned on our universe. I think Morgan Freeman, just in the beginning, was like, blew my mind. And it talked about a hunger, and that these animals, tomorrow's meal is not guaranteed. There's this worldwide hunger for looking for more. And I think maybe it's not for human beings on a physical, like, well, they are in Africa, but us guys here. There is a hunger for more. There is actually an incompleteness built in. There's a dynamic tension. There's something that causes us to be pushed towards advancing more. We're not at neutral. We're not at balance. And thank God for that. There's that dynamic tension between the inside and the outside of the nerves. There's a tension, this dynamic tone. And this is what creates pearls in oysters, is that irritation. So it's built in, and we are part of accelerating that, in my opinion, in ourselves and through our contact with the adjustment. We are advancing the race.
That began in the Garden of Eden.
It began at the Big Bang.
And Genesis states it. Whenever that Big Bang, maybe that was the Garden of Eden.
Well, it wouldn't have banged unless there was something non-stable. What made it bam? There had to be some sort of a rub.
So, and that's another thing when there's, we have something happening in our lives. That's how we see, when we see that conflict or the pain gives us introspection. And
When we go, yes, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, when we do pattern work is kind of like you're stuck in the same pattern. We as chiropractors want to break up the pattern. We as spiritual people, we don't want to be traveling the same road over and over again every day. It's a new day. It's not the same as yesterday. Like you talk to a lot of people, how you doing? Oh, same old, same old. That's a sign of not health, in my opinion.
I don't want to break up a pattern. I want to put in an energy to see if the person is ready to break up the pattern within them. If
Well,
that
pattern
innate
work,
is ready to use it.
pattern work is the recognition of a stasis.
Yes, but it's not my job to break the pattern. My job is to see there's a pattern and put in an energy, spirit to spirit, if you will, that allows the spirit within that individual that I'm communicating with to change the pattern when it can and when it's ready.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah.
Not everybody does. It's important to remind ourselves of that.
I have this irritant flying around in my room, a mosquito, and it's biting me and it's driving me a little crazy. But that irritant, if I couldn't feel, right? The lepers couldn't feel. We've got a gift to be able to feel. We've been taught that it's a mistake by innate, but it's happening to us with us for a reason. And once we sort of honor that dis-ease, we're not at ease, then we see change. Because comfort sucks, right? We talk about comfort sucks. You get complacent in your same old patterns, okay? Never changing. If I see the same thing happening on someone all the time, I think to myself, what's happening with me? And how can I change? Or how can I help them transform? So for me, this little irritant flying around the room, biting me once in a while, I'm scratching on top of my head and my legs, also makes me feel alive. I'm able to feel these things. I'm not cursing this thing. I'm a little annoyed by it, but thank goodness I'm able to feel these things. And I've got legs to feel. I've got arms to swat at this fly, and I'm blessed to be able to feel. When we get to that level of consciousness, I feel, even with Pasquale said this, the reason we have so much sickness and disease is because there's such a lack of faith in our own power. Remember the power, we have the kingdom of heaven within. God is within us. We have innate intelligence, which is spirit. We've been trained out of that.
We also have been trained into, oh, you don't feel good, it's uncomfortable, we'll get rid of that discomfort. We don't want to take away people's discomfort any more than we want to move the earth off its tilt. Then we wouldn't have seasons. We as chiropractors, and I have been guilty of trying to get them free of their discomfort. So we're talking about acceptance may be part of this thing called ease, health. You got a problem and you're fighting it rather than accepting it and doing the best you can, and then they can move on.
I've got another Dee quote. When you said that, fighting it, it's very difficult. Dee said this, it's very difficult to change the medical fighter into the peaceful chiropractor. Because when we're trying to fight disease, we're going to fight that subluxation. We're going to fight that pain. We're really putting that energy into someone else. But the peaceful chiropractor, we bring people to peace. We adjust the subluxation, and then we back away. I cannot heal you. Your body still has to do the work.
Tom Whitehorn,
that peaceful chiropractor. That's in the 1910 book. And, that's, I've strived, and I'm kind of writing a book right now, is the journey of the peaceful chiropractor. What does that mean? Because we want to fight subluxations very often, But that subluxation to me is a clue from spirit. We adjust them, but am I fighting that? Right?
Yeah, just
I
as
think
important, that the patient on the table is relaxed and we wait. We need to. I remember Dr. Whitehorn used to have us when we were doing the toggle. He used to say this over and over again. He still lives in my head. He'd say, relax, relax, hit it. And then we go, boom. But not just the chiropractor, and Donnie Epstein, he talks about that too, is go where you're invited. Don't overpower. So there's a thing about relaxing. We're talking about ease. We're talking about, I think health, we don't know what health is, but we do know acceptance of symptoms.
I'm going to give you a big part of innate adjusting is finding that peace. Because when you tell somebody to relax, they don't relax, right? You tell your wife to relax, she's going to punch you. So, but when you're just finding that when you get the right vector, when you're in that right place in the right time, in the right moment, right in that right vector, it takes so little to make that adjustment. It's peaceful and with a huge outcome.
So on the subject of health and ease, and health, what do we mean by that? We
Alan
do tell
wants to say
patients
something. Go
over
ahead,
and
Julie,
over
move
again.
on.
We tell patients over and again. I've had it in the front of my office that I do not treat.
We're off track a little bit, Stephen, from the book about health, though. We're not on that part right now.
Well,
and Alan
Although
wants to
the
say
next,
something.
I want to read the rest of this paragraph because it somewhat goes into that, but it doesn't talk about it in those terms.
All right.
Many a child has been injured at birth by a vertebral displacement, which caused an impingement upon one or more of the spinal nerves as they emanate from the spinal canal. The fibers of which are disrupted to certain organ.
Distributed to certain organs.
Oh, excuse me. The result of this excessive tension is physical or mental debility, often both, which, from a lack of pathological knowledge, may be lifelong. The mental defect extending even into the next world. Okay.
Wow. What does that mean?
Keep going. Keep going.
I know I'm pausing on purpose. For we retain only which has been acquired during this earthly preparatory existence. By properly adjusting the neuroskeleton, these unfortunates may be enabled to acquire sufficient knowledge, rightfully due them, to become useful members of society, enjoy life in this world and the one to come. The chiropractor who can accomplish the above desirable results and refuses to do so as a religious duty should be compelled to perform it as a moral obligation. So you see,
I think that addresses a lot of what we said.
Well, and the last part's really important, but absolutely. But what we're doing in this world, karma, if we want to put it in that sense, or this, we're taking this life, this earthly spirit, needing the earthly experience to take to the next level, to the other side, and the adjustment, no matter what that person's experiencing, is helping them along that journey. That's what I read from that. And then the chiropractor's duty, if you're not compelled to do this as your religious duty, it should be your moral obligation to do it. We're not taught that level of ethics in any school, okay? That should be hung on every chiropractor's wall. It should be on
that much of the connection to spirituality has been lost by our profession.
I'm sorry,
by the vast majority of our profession, let's put it that way.
I have real issues with when we start talking about the next life after we die.
I know you do.
And the reason I do is because the love that I have for this experience of life now is accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
And therefore, let's stick with right now, here, and don't make it into theories.
Now, this
It's all
is what
theories.
gets chiropractors upset. You realize, okay, exactly what you're talking about, and that's okay.
No, I'm not talking about the same thing. I'm talking about making spirituality into woo-woo.
I don't think this is making it into woo-woo. I think what this is doing is saying, get your butt to work and start serving these people.
In
Is
this
what
life,
he's doing
for this,
is giving
for-
us the
that's right.
For this life and for the future is what it says.
Well,
It says that.
who knows? Yeah, but that's what I think. Who knows about when your body dies? We don't know about that.
sure, you might as well do as well as you can now.
Now,
If you don't-
exactly.
if
We
you
don't
don't
know
know-
about that. That goes into beliefs and religious, and I think that's a turnoff.
And that's okay. You're
So
allowed.
Steve, I love you. I could philosophize with you all the time. This is all coming from educated. Think educatedly, right? What your innate is saying. She's not saying anything. She's going, she's controlling, she's doing. And she's gonna go. She's gonna go.
Yeah.
So, and it's guess what? It's always improving. It's always organizing, reorganizing, readapting. And you are part of it. We are part of it. And the air that we breathe and the what they call it, the flesh that we are, quite frankly, are, if you think about it, even scientifically, pieces of our past.
Yeah, for
Now,
sure.
I'm
We
going
are
to just
stardust.
pause. Let me pause for a moment. We're jumping to thinking heavenly and all these things. Let me just read this sentence again. By properly adjusting the neuroskeleton, these unfortunates may be able to acquire sufficient knowledge rightfully due them and become useful members of society and enjoy life in this world now and the one to come. It could say that just in getting the adjustment, they're life changing and they're living a whole new world, living a whole new life prior
and
to
the world to
adjustments.
come for their future in their life.
Yes.
Oh, I got
If
that.
that works, you read it that way.
Yeah, that works for
Absolutely.
me.
You could read it that way. We jumped straight into something else because that's what I want to see, but we can still see it in the way we just mentioned it. Okay. So Dee Dee's putting it in here in a very well
Just for your
written way.
information, I don't know that there's not after I die. I'm just saying that we've got a freaking beautiful opportunity now.
It's all we
that's-
have.
This is and that's all we have. You said
That's
it,
it.
Alan.
But we and we can acknowledge that there may be that it's part of a greater existence ongoing.
Life,
But
life-
that doesn't mean
goes
we
on.
shouldn't we do everything we can in this existence, and there may be more.
there
Hey,
may
that's
be,
good.
may.
And that's
But we
well,
know for sure life goes on.
I expect spirit is a continuum. I see spirit as a continuum.
Yeah.
And I know that the spirit in me is in this material's flesh for
Okay.
now. But I don't think that spirit ends when I end.
Well, for sure.
And if you
I'm
do
away-
think yours ends when you end,
No, no,
you're
no.
welcome to think that. That's
No,
fine.
no, what I'm saying is that I'm a wave, and then when it hits the shore, it
I
goes
didn't
back,
understand
it
that.
goes back into the ocean. Whether or not I maintain individuality as a wave, I don't know that. But I do know that the ocean never leaves. Okay? Call that's an analogy. That I know for sure. The leaves from my trees are falling into the ground. That particular leaf, there will never be another leaf like that. And there will never be another Alan Lichter, ever.
Thank God.
Steve, you're talking about our major premise and you're talking about another C word that's very deep, consciousness.
Now consciousness,
We're way off here.
that's another whole thing to talk about. We can cover that in like 10 minutes. We need another 10 minutes to figure that one out.
Well, this is why we're doing this, is to break this down. And it's not meant to be read fast, right? And we got to understand it and digest this. We're going to get more out of this as we think through it. This is the third time we've done this, you realize, and I get so much out of it every time. I really do. The last one I just posted just for a week ago, and we've already had 70 something people watch our last or the last videos in this show. Because this philosophy is, people could talk about BJ and they talk about, what they know. This is touching on subjects where people have their own belief systems, and it does cause some irritation. That's why we have to talk about it.
I think BJ, if he were alive today, he'd be talking to us too. BJ, one of his books, was it The Bigness of the Fellow Within? There's a bunch of glossy photographs of when he went to Japan and went to these monasteries and India. He went all over the thing, and he was also drawing from some of that old philosophy too.
Oh yeah, I mean, Didi imparted this on him. He had these books he was reading, he was getting them from Didi, and then he was trying to quantify it as a young man, trying to put it into a logical sense into his educated brain. And I understand that.
He was living in the world as science was developing, and he was moving with the times to try and help chiropractic keep up with the times and be in the spiritual context at the same time.
Agreed.
Now, if we opened up a university, a chiropractic college, I think the four of us would agree we would spend some of the time teaching chiropractic students what we're teaching and learning ourselves, which is, how do I become more at ease?
It's not that I'm just giving plugs for innate adjusting. It's exactly what we do. Being at ease before you even step into the energy of another being, being at peace with ourselves first before stepping even into the room.
I'm going to admit something now. Please turn off the recording, because
okay, hold on.
Shut up.
So Steve just admitted his, deepest, darkest secrets, and we all just can't talk about it now. I'm just kidding. Steve was, that was amazing about, him being, really it was about him being a server. This was all about love and really loving the people. That's what Didi's saying here. And to me, is that mission. He's getting our mission on. Go out and care for this people. If you don't want this to be your religious duty, be your moral duty. He's saying you don't have to believe this in spirit. You don't have to think about the spiritual realm, and you don't have to be a religious person, but you have to be a moral person. And I think that is very true. And it's one of the other things we teach too. I mean, is just having, your morals of what you do. If you're ripping off insurance and ripping off people, go to something else, quit. You're probably going to go to jail, and it's a good thing. But have a moral duty of serving humanity, this chiropractic thing. It is absolutely imperative. And I'm so happy he mentions the birth of the child, from that newborn being adjusted, which is one of my passions, having that newborn adjusted to the elderly and whomever. So, if you're not seeing it in one way, it's very easy to see it in a different way for yourself that fits your philosophical and spiritual beliefs. Would you say so?
All I know is the last chiropractic continuing education was in either somewhere from Orlando South. And the reason these guys were still practicing is because personal injury was where the money was, and they all had PI practices.
We're not dealing with that on this call.
That's why they're not here. You literally, let's say this, the 1% of the 1%, not tooting my own horn, show up on this and listen to this podcast around the world. It's not the guy that's trying to, find a better code. I mean, we're almost all cash in my office. And it's really is people that really want to serve. And
we're not here to attack anybody else's style of adjustment. We're not here to attack anybody that's doing chiropractic, however they're doing it.
Yeah.
They, on some level, they're helping somebody, and that's a good thing. We don't attack people on our discussion.
You're a good politician.
No, this is the other thing too. I tell people when they get into auto collisions or something, and I'm like, look, thank God, you've been drawn here for a reason. It might not have gotten you here before. If you know, would you have come to the chiropractor before? I'm going to help you enhance your life. That's what chiropractic is about. Well, God bless you. Hey, man, this was awesome tonight. This was awesome, everybody. Anybody have any closing things they want to say? All right, February 3rd and 4th, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Everybody on this, if you want to come, you send me an email and you listen to this, you get 50% off of your,
I say
your
one
registration.
thing. You know, when I was part of that Wisdom Council, there was me and our bunch of us, and we
Jacob Eric, yeah,
Jacob. The big thing that we were talking about, what is it after all these years? Each one of us was practicing at least 40 years. Well, how come we still had the passion? What was it about that? And that was what we were talking about.
Yeah,
and it's what we're talking about here.
Through the philosophy right now,
That's
so
it.
we can walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah.
And you're sharing it with generations now and for generations for longevity until the end of the earth. We are now putting this in the cyber world. That is why we're doing it, because that 1% of the 1% might turn to 2% one day, and 3% and 5%.
Advancement, advancing.
Exactly.
That's right.
All right. We made it through 2 paragraphs. One we read again from last week. Okay. Yes.
So that is one new paragraph.
And I gotta say one more thing. I gotta say one more thing.
Go.
If you measure the success of your practice by your number of patients you see in a day, you gotta get your head out of your ass. Because when you're adjusting one person, you have no idea how many people you're affecting.
Absolutely. But if I waste 1 minute or 1 second blabbering about fishing, I'm sacrificing everybody else's care. There might be one other person that needs me. And I'm telling God and the creative stuff of the universe, I'd rather be talking about fishing. I'm saying go out and serve. Go serve is what the number's right for you, period. And I like to see a lot of people, and I'm just I want to see more. Spirit, I'm ready to see more. Let's do it. Because I know if we're making an effect on this planet, I can put my hand on someone's atlas or their vertebral column, and we can help change their life for the better. It's my moral and religious duty to do it. All right, guys. Good night. I'll see you next week. Or February in South Carolina. Good night,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas to you guys that are coming
Merry
up.
Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. And we'll see you before New Year's.
Hanukkah pronunciation better, okay?
Hanukkah.
Love you guys. Good night.